Hi, welcome to the next video on the Academy of Development. If you're here for the first time, warm welcome. My name is Sylwia. I'm a life and business coach. And I developed this channel to support you in self-development, in self-growth, to achieve your goals and to live happy lives and build more profound and solid relationships. And I would also like to take the opportunity and thank you for your subscriptions because they help me to get through to with the message that I share, with the tools and practices that I share here to more people. And we just scored 1,000. So we have 1,000 over 1,000 subscriptions. So thank you very much for that. And if you've watched my videos before, welcome back. Um, you know, the mission of this channel is what I just told you. And I think that lots of what happens with our lives, majority of that depends on us. But the surrounding that we live in, that we function in, the people who are around us, they impact us too. And they impact our mental, emotional well being, and therefore they impact our happiness and achieving goals and our level of being satisfied with our lives. So today, I decided, this was also upon your request, to talk about toxic people. So in this video, we're gonna mm, we're gonna say uh, 5 traits of toxic people. I would say 5.5, but I'm gonna explain later why. And I'm gonna give you a test, thanks to which you can verify whether the person you suspect of being toxic, whether they are toxic indeed. And at the end, we're gonna take this small test on checking whether you are a toxic person yourself. So let's start. The trait number 1 of a toxic person will be emotional abuse. Emotional abuse, to me, it seems to be even more difficult and harmful than physical abuse. It is so because the wounds that we have after because of such an abuse are not that easy to spot, and it takes much longer to heal them. So when it comes to toxic people and how they can emotionally abuse us, is can happen in 2 ways really. It may be more something stronger ways, more visible, or they may be very subtle ways of emotional abuse. So the strong ones, the most visible, yes, it will be yelling, belittling us, confusing, something that it's easier to spot. But the more subtle and much more difficult to spot will be, for example, manipulation. It will be intimidation. These are techniques like silent treatment or gaslighting. Now, why I say it's even more harmful to me, the emotional abuse as opposed to physical abuse, is because it leads to wounds, serious wounds such as low self-esteem, such as confusion, lack of motivation, self-blame, and even depression. Now let's test if the person you think about from your environment, if they are toxic and if they're emotionally abusive towards you. Ask yourself these 4 questions. These are yes or no questions. Does this person humiliate you? Does disregard your feelings, emotions, thoughts? Does this person fe- treat you like a child or make you feel like a child? Does this person blame you for every problem that you have in your relationship, whether that's a professional relationship or private, family or intimate? Do you feel that you walk on eggshells around this person? If the answer is yes to all these four questions, it probably means that you are a victim of an emotional abuse. Let's move on to the trait number two. Toxic people love to play victims. I mean, maybe I've put it wrong. Maybe it's not that they love, but they are in the victim mode most of the time. So yes, it happens to all of us that we play a victim role, that we feel sad, self-pity. But what happens after a while, we shift our focus, we move it onto solutions. And with toxic people, that's not the case. So they're gonna blame the everybody and everyone for their life situation. They will they think that the world is after them. Uh, what's also very important is that they will not stop taking your resources, and watch out for that, which are your time, your money, or your energy simply. They will also flip, they have a tendency of flipping the situation. So, uh, in the situation when you enter the conversation and you expected that person owed you an apology from your perspective, you end up apologizing this person, then it means that you're probably dealing with a toxic person. And I also want to share this, my personal experience with a toxic person that I'm not in touch any longer with. But it took me a while to understand that she was toxic. So, whenever it was a long while ago, um, this person used to call me with her problems that concerned her relationship, intimate relationship. And the conversation lasted long, for long. And even though I had a feeling we kept repeating the same options that she has available, but she never made any choice. And in the end, she even accused me of being guilty of this situation, of not supporting her enough. That's how I knew, I recognized that she was toxic. Um, Plus, after each call, I felt really drained. So, this is a sign for you that if you deal with somebody like that, you will feel drained. But we're going to move on to that a bit later. Now, I want you to ask yourself these three questions. Think about the person you are considering, and you are thinking whether this person is toxic or not. Ask yourself three questions. Do you get blamed for their problems? Do you try to uplift this person, but every time they're constantly putting themselves down? When you try to give some constructive criticism or feedback, do they act with aggression, or uh, are they getting defensive? If you've answered three yes, it means three times yes, it means that you're probably dealing with the victim mentality type of a person. Now, I said 2.5 traits because this one, that second and a half, is quite small and very, not very easy to notice, and not very popular when you think about toxic people. This is pathological liars. So, toxic people, we all lie from time to time, let's be honest. Um, but pathological liars, the kind of toxic people, they will lie either for no reason, just because they can, or to protect their image, to protect their how others view them, to keep this perfect image. Um, and how to you can tell whether a person is a pathological liar if they if you catch them on few occasions lying to you, if they lie to you about small things. So these are the questions you may ask yourself. Does this person lie about small, unimportant, mundane things? Um, and also, do they show remorse if when they're caught? Do they explain themselves? Are they feeling sorry, or they're just like whatever? What I want you to also notice here is that um, there is a specific type of people. Extreme pathological liars can be people uh, with certain disorders, um, like narcissistic um, personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, or people who are depressed. So here is where the medical professional help is needed, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, the feature number three, or the trait of a toxic person number three, they seek the control. So these are the people who need to know everything about you, where you are, what you're up to, who you're with, but they really don't want to know that mm, to show that they care about you, as the proof that they care about you. They will want to know that to be able to control you, to be able to impact your behavior. So these are the people um, who will make your other relationships change under their influence. So say you had good relationship with people at work, but then somebody comes in, a new employee is on, uh, and out of a sudden you feel that this person is so intense, they control you so much, and they impact the decisions, who you talk to, what other colleagues you talk to, who you go for lunch with, so things like that. And let's now ask the three questions. Uh, Ask yourself three questions when thinking about the person you have on your mind to check whether they're toxic. Ask yourself that this person needs to know where you are at all times. Not like, hey, what's up, where you're up to, but who you're with, where you are, how long you're gonna be there. Um, that's number two question. Does this person pull you away from your loved ones, from people who you care about? Or does this person micromanage you? If the answer is yes, again, probably you, or most certainly you're dealing with a toxic person who has a huge sense of desire of controlling other people. Moving on further, so we're now on the fourth trait. Toxic people very often do not respect boundaries. They will they want you they want to make you small to feel big. They will cross your boundaries to show how irrelevant you are, to feel superior to you. They will project their vulnerabilities onto you in the form of aggression, in the form of bullying. So they will not respect your private space. This may concern like checking somebody's email at work when you leave your computer, or when you let your colleague use your computer, but you ask them not to check your, not to open your mailbox or Outlook, they will do that uh, because they don't care. So remember, we're not talking about people who do not know you and they are just getting to know you and they are getting to know your boundaries, but we're talking here about the people who know what your boundaries are, but they don't care. They just don't respect them. Um, Now, what you can do, what you can ask yourself, are these three questions to define whether this person that you're thinking about from your environment, whether they're toxic. So, does somebody constantly pays attention or expresses your weaknesses and laughs at them? Do they gossip about you? Uh, Number two, um, does he or she cross your boundaries even though you ask them not to? Even though you made it clear what you appreciate and what you don't. And the question number three that you may ask yourself: does this person intimidate you by entering your private space? Do they invade your private space? Do they check your phone? Do they read your emails, your messages, your texts? Do they enter your room when uninvited, or your office even though you ask for knocking on the door? Things like this. If you answered yes to these questions, it means that you are dealing with a, you're most certainly dealing with a toxic person. And last but not least, when it comes to the traits of toxic people, is that they're negative. So I think we all experience a moment when somebody comes in and out of a sudden the mood of everyone drops. We feel like bad vibes. So these are the traits of people who are toxic, that we just sense it, that they spread so-called negative vibe. Not even negative, they spread low vibration, which we, if we're vigilant to our bodies, this is what we receive and what we read. So, um, and what else about negative people, which is more obvious, is that they constantly talk about bad things, like about catastrophes. Um, um, they will update you with all the bad things that happen in the world or at work or in your family. And so trust your instincts, because if you can sense that this negativity, this it should be a huge confirmation for you that this person is probably toxic. Again, I'm not saying always, but most of the time, that's what it is. Unless we have some private our challenges, this can impact our perception of other people, or unless we are toxic as well. But let's now say four questions that will help you to define if you deal with a toxic person who is negative. So, do you feel bad vibe when somebody enters the room? This is definitely something that will help you to determine the toxicity of this person. Uh, do you feel tired after each interaction? Are you exhausted after each interaction with this person? Does your mood drop whenever whenever you are around that person? Does this person talk about the tragedies in this world, in the family, like we said before. And does this person complain about everything? If you answered yes, you're probably dealing with a toxic person. So let's do a quick recap. The 5 traits that I told you about of toxic people are the emotional abuse, playing the victim role, seeking the control. It's also not respecting boundaries. And please, I'm gonna link the video somewhere here to the video about setting boundaries, which can be very useful for you. And also, these are negative people in general. That half was, 2.5 was about pathological liars who absolutely lie for no reason, really. If you know other traits of toxic people, share them in the comments, please. And if you find this video useful, please share it with your friends, with your family, anybody who may need that. And like I said, if you think that you would benefit from an individual coaching session, you've got the contact details to me in the description of this video. Thank you very much and see you in the next one.